He lost 2-1 away at Fulham. This is talkSPORT, the sports bar. Me, Jordan, Jarrett, Brian, alongside Perry Groves, a former Arsenal winger and wide man. Just before we keep the calls coming and take your calls, guys, for one more section, because there's only one story in town. There's a lot of, people talking about João Felix, had a really good, debut, looked lively, a couple of decent half chances. But do you think that in a way that he let them down by getting the red card? Is he getting off the hook a little bit lightly tonight, considering that when he went off it was 1-1?
Well, and to be fair, Chelsea started the second half on the front foot.
Decent,
didn't
yeah.
they? Exactly, getting the goal from Koulibaly, decent delivery from Mason Mount. Free kick hits the post. He smashes it in. So he's cost his team by a rash decision. You could say it's unprofessional. I know, see, Graham Potter said there, it's a football action. But there's no need for him to go in for that challenge. No. So that's then the momentum swings back to Fulham. But I just think it's a sad indictment of the Chelsea players, the other 9 outfield players, that he looked the liveliest. Because normally you'd say that coming in, obviously, from the Liga, from Africa, do you need time to adjust to the pace and the power of the Premier League? He looked like he had more pace and power than any of the Chelsea players. Even with Havertz, who's been there a lot longer than him, he just looked like he wanted it more. I'm looking at this Chelsea team. I didn't see that. I didn't see that tenacity in them. And this is a local derby, by the way. You know what I mean? It's not that you should have tenacity in every game that you play. And there's no leaders on the pitch. I don't think there's no leadership coming from Graham Potter, from his coaching staff. It is a complete malaise. And I don't think that Potter's got the wherewithal to impose himself. All the great managers and top managers have an aura about them. They all have an edge. They all have a big personality. And unfortunately, I think Graham Potter is like the next level down. I think he's like a mid-tier manager.
It's for going back to Felix as well. It's 3 games he'll miss now. He'll miss the game on the weekend against Crystal Palace, the Liverpool match, and he'll then miss the return game at home to Fulham at a cost, I think I worked out my shocking maths, of 1.8 million per game on his loan fee. So yeah, they're not getting value for money for now anyway. Let's speak to some more Chelsea supporters. I'm looking for some supporters of Chelsea who are supporting Graham Potter. It's been very anti-Potter so far. I think I might have found one. Let's speak to Ian, the Chelsea fan. Good evening, Ian.
Good evening.
Ian.
All right.
Your fellow Chelsea supporters, generally, the majority, they want him out. They'd sack him tonight. Do you agree?
No, I don't agree. No, I always believe someone should actually get a run for their money, really. I mean, it's been unfortunate with the injuries. I agree on a lot of the points you make tonight, but, how many teams that go down to 10 men actually win a game? And they did. If you watch the game properly, you actually see that they did make a big effort to try and actually get that second goal. They didn't actually shut up shop and try and defend and let Fulham come out, and they tried to get that goal. And Havertz, if he was a bit of a better player, had a better touch, and that through ball just before the end, if he took that properly, he could have put it away and it could have been 2-2. We'd be talking about a completely different scenario. But I just think at the moment, everything's going against them.
Ian, there's a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas there, to be fair.
There is. And let me hold the line there, Ian, for 1 second.
But I used to go to Chelsea in the 70s and the 80s, and I never thought I'd ever see them win a trophy. I've seen them win 22 trophies in 20 years. I've seen them pick up every single trophy there is. So I've got no excuse at the moment. At some point in my Chelsea life now, I know that they would actually have a bit of a problem, and it's a downturn. So everyone's got to just get behind them, get behind Graham Potter, just support him and just see how things go. I think there's so much, there's so much media and everything around now that you just fall out, just a couple of losing a couple of games and everyone's on their back. I mean, I can literally see their body language and how they were really sort of, at the beginning of the game, they were sort of slightly on the back foot. They started to get a bit more confidence in the first half, but then obviously the goal went in and they for 5 or 10 minutes were shaking.
Ian, hold the line for 1 second. I want to bring in another Chelsea supporter that may have a different view. Let's bring in Ben, the Chelsea supporter. Good evening, Ben.
Good evening.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, mate. Ian, your fellow Chelsea supporter, he says, stick with Potter. This is what happens. Sometimes, you go through bad times. You've got to ride it out and work through it. Are you in agreement?
Not really, no. I'm not a fan. I haven't been a fan since the day you come in. I mean, everyone loved Tuchel. He loved the club. You could see that, the passion on the touchline. You know, even the other week, Potter was saying when we drew against Nottingham Forest, it would have been unfair if we'd have won that game. But unfair, we're Chelsea. You know what I mean? Is that what we've become? You know, I'm not saying it's all his fault. It's not, because it comes from the ownership as well. You know, you look at the people who's left the club, like Cech, Marina. You know, they were winners. So, I don't know. He's not solely to blame, but I just don't like him.
Just before you come in there, Perry, Ian, what's your response to Ben?
I agree to a certain extent. I mean, I would like Tuchel back because he played. As soon as he turned up, he changed the team. He put them in a decent formation. He played the back three, and they were much solid. And they played. But I don't know. I just like to give Potter a chance, because as soon as he's come in, he has had injuries and he's had key players disappear in and out of the team. He's never had a stable team. He's never had a team where he can actually say, right, you know, I'm going to play like Arsenal, for instance. At the moment, they play the same team practically, you know, week in, week out, and look where they are.
Arsenal's squad depth isn't what Chelsea have got, though, Ian. Well, Chelsea have a deeper squad.
But people say Chelsea have got a squad depth, but we haven't really. If you really look at it, there's not a huge depth in there. You've got, you know, I mean, even Havertz, I wouldn't really, you know, he's in and out. I mean, he scored a great goal in the Champions League.
Ben,
a lot of the team that sort of won the Champions League are still there, apart from the main key players, was Rudiger, who's gone. Dave, you know, has been a question.
Yeah.
I think he should have gone to Spain before the beginning of this season, because that's the only player he keeps playing, and that side of the pitch we just get run over all the time. And Dave isn't just, he loses his position. I mean, he's never going to be, you know. He's played brilliantly over the team.
His legs have gone.
His legs have gone. Ben, do you want to have the last word, Ben?
You go on about depth, you know, the injuries and all that, but I mean, look at the players come off the bench. You know, you've got Hakim Ziyech, you know, World Cup semi-finalists. You know, we're signing players pretty much every day at the minute lately. It's like, and they're just sitting there on the bench. I mean, it shows how desperate Graham Potter got tonight when Joe Felix started from the start. You know, it's like, you know, just chuck him in there. Aubameyang sat on the bench. Like you said, we don't even bring him on. It's like,
Ben, can you see?
We lost that game.
You know, if there is a project, if there's a project,
he hadn't been sent off. If Joe Felix
one at a time. Ben, you go first. Go on, Ben.
If there is a project, you at least want to see some promising signs. You know, a little bit of something. I say nothing, absolute nothing. You know, I've never even called up a station like this, ranting on nothing. It's just unbelievable.
Well, Ian, let me give you the last word. On that point, you're saying stick with Potter, give him time. But are you seeing, even the chaos and the poor players you say that's happening on the pitch and what's happening off the pitch, do you see enough to, even when things are going well and he has good players, this is a guy that could compete with the likes of Klopp, Guardiola, Conte, the top managers in this league?
I can't say he will, but I think he needs to be given the chance, because, you know, this is all happening tonight because a player got sent off, and I don't think Chelsea would have lost that game if
he wasn't great before
Ian,
that.
You've had one win.
They were going to win that game. They would have come back and they would have won that game.
Ian,
Fulham aren't a brilliant team, but they just pressed well.
Ian, you've had one win in 10 Premier League games. This isn't a one-off.
Yeah, that's 3 against Man City, that's against Arsenal, that's against Newcastle.
Yeah, but you're at that level. But surely you're at that level.
I know, but I'm just saying, and he's changed. How many times has he actually played the same 11, game in, game out? He hasn't. He's changed the team every week,
Ian.
Every game. So I'm quite happy with him at the moment.
You're happy with him?
Ian, thank you very much for your call. Ian says he's happy with Graham Potter. Ben, another Chelsea fan, less so. Listen, it's not going well there. I genuinely think that Potter might not be the answer, but I think there are bigger issues in terms of a lack of a plan at Chelsea. The transfer strategies all over the place. They're not buying players for a system. And I think that when you impose that on a manager that is new to the club, that's coming without preseason anyway, that just heightens the problem. Maybe Potter isn't the right guy. Maybe even with his own players,
so
he's not of that level.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't think on the list of problems at Chelsea and why they're struggling, I don't think Graham Potter is top of that list.
Yeah, but if he's not, you just said there, you don't think he's at that level. How is this going to improve?
No, I didn't say it's not. I said I think we need to give him his team and better surroundings and an infrastructure as a club to find out if he can compete at that level.
Right. The infrastructure away from the playing side, right?
Yes. So give him the players that he wants, and the system that he's employing. Don't impose Felix on him. He didn't want Felix, clearly. Come on.
But he was the best player. And if you've got a manager of stature...
It doesn't matter if you've got a good player. If he's not a player that fits into your style of play, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, but then you've got to have a cojones about you as a manager to say, he doesn't fit my style of play. He doesn't fit my philosophy. That's where your big personality comes out, not just to have players foist upon you and think, right, he doesn't really fit what I want to play, but I'll take him anyway. So you've got to have more about you.